The Project. Kuwait. Learn. Live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Psyched with Dr. D. Today was marriage counseling day.
It was. We found out all about your intimacy and where you are and where you're not. And it was really great to see the dynamic that goes between the two of you, huh?
It was a very enlightening episode. And I think the best part was the listener Q&A that we got to at the end.
That's very true, actually. And I like it. I think people will benefit from those questions because there's probably a lot of our listeners have the same questions.
Self-love. I think it's really important.
Self-love.
And communication. It's lubrication. I stole that from another show, just so everybody knows. I did not come up with that on my own. But enjoy the episode, guys, and shoot us a DM if you have any questions for Dr. D. And don't forget to leave us a rating or review on iTunes.
All this and more in today's episode.
I just pressed record. I have to get this on. So Dr. D is trying to maintain the bun on her head.
It's called a top knot.
A top knot. Trying to maintain the top knot. So you don't want to put the...
Of course, I don't want to ruin it.
Well, no one's going to be able to hear your voice.
I'm going home after this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know. Listeners, can you hear Dr. Dinka? So, welcome to the show. Psyched with Dr. D today is analyzing intimacy with Mehdi and Haya.
Oh, no.
That's right.
Oh, no.
Yes,
I'm on a path.
a path. You know,
make sure.
Haya is a fan favorite, right?
It's a what?
Oh,
She's a
thank
fan
you.
favorite.
Yeah?
Yeah, her episodes do 20%
Do very well.
more. Yeah,
Oh,
they do a lot
Not
more.
after they find out about her intimacy level.
I'm going to walk out of this room crying, aren't I?
Dude,
Hey, look, you both are getting free therapy, so
Oh,
please.
boy.
Is it good therapy, though? We'll see after this episode.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's chocolate in the room. What are we talking about? Intimacy.
Intimacy?
Yes.
All right.
Shall we tackle the first question?
All right. Dr. D, you've broken two of my cardinal rules. One is trying to maintain the hairdo while fixing the mic, and two is eating into the microphone. Do you know how many times people have eaten gum into the microphone? And I'm like, dude, come on. It's all right.
No, I know what your pet peeve
Okay.
is.
What? No, don't do the Darth Vader.
No, he hates this whenever we have somebody being interviewed, then I say, uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, he sends me a message, can you stop saying uh-huh?
All right, Dr. D. What does intimacy look like in a relationship, and what are the different forms it can take on?
Whoa.
It's a loaded question.
Right?
It is a loaded question. What does intimacy look like?
Wait, Maddie, you were saying yesterday you don't know what intimacy looks like. So what do you think of before Dr. D delves into anything?
Dude, I'm traumatized. I never got intimacy from my parents. Never a hug or a kiss or like, I love you.
So for you, is that
that's what I
intimacy?
think intimacy
So what
is
is intimacy?
Intimacy, I think it's like sharing a bond between two people where it's like, I love you and a pat on the back and, you know, like an intimate situation or an intimate time that you could share with someone, whether it be your spouse or your parents or your children or whatever.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't have to be sexual. You know,
Yeah.
people think automatically intimacy is sexual.
That's
right?
true.
It
I mean,
doesn't.
as soon as you say intimacy, the first thing people want to talk about is it's sex.
Yeah.
And, you
Number
know,
one Googled word in the Middle East.
It is. So you would think that every time someone says intimacy, sex, or at least some images of sex come on your mind. But
Yeah.
people really don't understand that there are so many forms of intimacy. And of course, they, you know, there's a lot of literature that talks about different types. So I'm just going to mention a few of them. But before we move on, what about you? What is intimacy? You're trying to get out of that.
I saw intimacy as, yes, physical, so the hugs and all of that, but also emotional. In terms of being able to emotionally connect with your partner or a parent, and to me that looks like fostering a safe space to talk about emotions.
That's right.
Look at Maddie's face.
Very
The
true.
only
Terrified.
intimacy I see from her is, hey, can you spot me?
Not anymore.
Well, I'm going.
Yeah, did you see that? She yelled at me.
You're not supposed to touch the bar. I'm not a bodybuilder.
But I have been doing this
Even
for
that type of intimacy you failed at.
I know.
And that's called experiential. I just want to tell you, that is an intimacy that's called experiential when you guys do activities together. You know, you do something together, but without words. You don't have to talk. And you can't even do that.
That ship has sailed. That ship has. You know, she wouldn't let me be her coach.
There's a
She had no coach for the Battle of the East,
Okay,
the last
I
competition.
had
she
an
had.
awesome
And I was like,
handler.
look, I can help you out. I'll be your handler. I'll put the weights on. It's basically me being her slave for the 2 hours and doing everything she needs. And she said no.
And she
There's
said
a
no.
reason for that.
She said, I want you
No,
in the
there is
stands.
a reason for
She
that.
doesn't trust me.
Well, there's a reason for that. How many times have I failed lifts because you put too much on the bar?
I just
So
add
there
5
is no
pounds.
trust there.
So there is no trust. You
No,
don't even
he
know how much
hides
you can.
weights. When I ask him to add 10s, he adds 15s and hides it in the middle.
Oh my
She's
God.
strong.
There's
That's
no
why there's no
trust.
intimacy in this relationship. There's yeah. So even the experiential you failed at. Okay. There's the physical. Does she? Do you guys hold hands?
Yes, we have been lately.
Yeah,
You guys, like,
initiated
hug?
by me, the
No,
guy.
no.
All right.
Battle of the East, as we were walking out, I like held her.
You sure you just didn't want my wallet?
I got money this month.
That's true. That is true. No, we hold hands. No, we definitely hold hands. Like when we were at the playground the other day, we
Yeah.
held hands when we were walking.
We've been hugging more and all of them.
I hug her a lot more.
I hug you too.
So are you trying to say that
Whoa.
I did
When have
yesterday.
you given me-
Yesterday.
you
When?
gave him
I
a
was-
hug yesterday?
Yeah.
Wow, you should put that in the
I
calendar.
know, right? I need to write this stuff down.
Look at her. Like she's talking like I've done you a favor.
I know, right?
So even physical, you fail at it.
Wait, I failed.
No,
or
she
she
failed.
She failed. All right, thank you. Thank you.
So but you failed at the experiential one. She
Okay.
fails at the physical
Apparently, we're
one.
tallying right now.
So,
It's 1-1.
hey, what is the problem with reaching out your hand and giving him a hug or holding
I have
hands?
sweaty palms.
Yeah. Listen, I think when life gets busy, whether it comes with work, with family, with stress, with so many things, we've known each other for 13 years now.
And you-
It's
no need
it's
to
easy
hold
to
his hand.
take someone for granted.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's very
they're
true.
always there.
She even got that number wrong. 14 years.
No, 13.
14.
2011.
It was 2010.
No, 2011.
You
No, you
missed our
gradu-
anniversary.
No, you missed our anniversary.
You missed our anniversary. She
The
missed our
13th.
anniversary.
When was the?
It was
you
yesterday.
missed it too.
Well,
Did
listen,
you-
my
did
birthday's
you-
in like 4 days. So you can't say anything.
That's true.
So you can do it all at one time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is that what you're doing? So saving money. You can. So let's see. What type of intimacy is that? So
But we had a really good conversation the other day. Remember?
Oh, yeah, that's
No,
right.
we had a good conversation the other day.
about
Just airing everything out. So we were like, okay, free space. You tell me like everything that's bothering you. I'll tell you everything that's
but
bothering me.
we
that's really good. That's
but we
called,
flipped it though. We flipped it.
Yeah.
It wasn't you tell me everything that's bothering you. It's
Oh,
no.
it's-
You tell me what you know is bothering the other person.
Like I admit that I A, B, and C.
Like she said, I don't listen to you. And I said, that's true?
She doesn't listen to you.
No.
Huh?
But I
Hey,
admitted
why you don't
it.
listen? By admitting it, it was okay.
No, I mean,
That's one process. Communication. You're doing good. One barrier to intimacy is communication. So you're doing good. So you decided let's communicate because there is a barrier to
yes,
intimacy.
Yes.
Okay.
And we talked it all out, and I think that after that conversation, things have been moving in
Yeah.
a good direction.
Look, in general, relationships have hills and valleys. And it's the strength of the two individuals that makes it through one of the valleys and back up on top. And, you know, if communication, as Sex with Emily would say, communication is lubrication. All right. Which she has a great show, by the way.
It's funny.
And it's just like, it's legit. You got to talk it out.
Yeah.
If you don't talk it out and you let it bottle up inside, that's when we blow up at each other.
Right.
And it spills over into every facet of life, which sucks.
And it's true. I mean, it's good that you guys have these time where you can come and you're realizing that something is not going right, and then
Yeah.
there are if you've suppressed your emotions toward each other, and then say, look, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's like a lot of couples don't really do that, and what happens is that they'll suppress their feelings toward each other. They'll end up being frustrated, resentful, and then and my experience here, or maybe even in the US, but here I've noticed whenever people don't like to confront, so they're you'll get a lot of, when I do couple therapy and whenever I'm seeing the person individually at first, and they're like, well, I don't want to hurt her feelings, or, I don't want to say this thing because, so they'd rather not hurt each other's feelings and not communicate properly and honestly, and then not reach the level of intimacy that they want, all in the name that I really don't want to hurt her. I don't want to say something that will bother her. But then ultimately, so it's good that you guys have that. You're okay there. But let's continue with the level of intimacy.
As he's on his phone.
I was Googling.
How is that? Yeah, exactly. How is that intimate?
What?
You're
You
disconnecting.
would play disconnecting. Ooh, big word.
That's why I don't like being on the show with her. She calls me out. And she's the only one that can pick out when I'm not listening to somebody.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Like I could be staring right at you and you think I'm engaged in the conversation.
No, but your eyes could tell that you're not engaged.
No, not everyone can tell. She's
I
the
could
only one that can tell.
It's fairly obvious. Really? Yeah, like you have this blank stare on your face. You're like, yeah, cool, okay. Like you have these words that you always use.
That have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Nope.
Why are you avoiding the discussion of intimacy?
Yes, Mehdi.
I think you are avoiding this topic.
Well, no, I mean, look, I grew up in a household where intimacy it really wasn't there for my parents. It goes back to my brother was very intimate. He was very he'll pat me on the back, say, I love you. We had a bond. But with my parents, I mean, even till this day, I only remember my dad saying I love you once to me. And my mother, I don't know, that kind of stopped when I was 8 years old or 7 years old. So it's, I think a lot of it is background too, and how susceptible you are and how you brand intimacy. Some people see intimacy as spending money on the other.
Yeah.
There are people that think, oh, if I buy you things and I pay for things, that's me showing you I love you and, whatever. That's my parents.
Or I think that says that they didn't really understand intimacy, because intimacy, none of the types of intimacy has anything to do with. Maybe because a lot of people do not know how to be intimate,
That's
and
true.
therefore they utilize material things to buy or to give something to. And you notice that parents do that. Parents are not intimate with each other, and that they're not intimate with their kids. They know that they're not. They don't know how to do it because they're awkward. There are people like yourself who grew up in families, or myself also. I didn't grow up in family where they hug and kiss and say, I love you. And that's probably why I say it a lot to my kids. I want my kids to get used to it, because I think what happens, you grow up in a family where it was awkward if anyone hugged each other or anyone kissed. And so if that's the way it is, then it would be awkward for me to give it also. And in order for me to be intimate with my children, is I have to become comfortable with it myself. So individuals like you will get married, won't be as intimate with their partner because they're not used to it. They're not used to expressing.
You had a really hard time with it in the beginning, though.
Yeah?
A very hard time. Just in terms of opening up all these different facets. It eventually happened.
You used the word I used.
What?
Facet.
Oh, I did not realize
That's my
that was
word.
your word.
I've been using it on the show for 2 weeks
I'm sorry.
now.
I mean,
I've
so
used
you
it
want
many
a
episodes.
clap or
Facet
something?
is my word. I'm just saying.
But it's nice that when you see DJ, he's so emotional and intimate. And if he loves you, he will hug you. He will say, I love you. And he's so open to everything, from expressing his happiness to his anger to his love to touching to wanting to be close to somebody. So it's nice to see that you went from a household with none of that to now fostering a healthier environment.
That's because my parents suck and I want to do a better job.
Yeah, but then if you had a difficult time with it, maybe it's easier for us to be intimate with our
What about you?
kids.
How are your parents, Dr. D?
So they were not
intimate
at all, no.
How does that make you feel?
So it made
Tables have turned.
No, I mean, I'm not used to giving hugs and kisses, and I didn't grow up like that. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people my generation probably didn't grow up like that.
So what if someone's listening right now and they're like, oh man, my parents, don't show me love. They don't love me. Or what can someone do? Or what conversation can they have with their mother or father to say, hey, I need this from you? Like with my coach, I told him, I was like, I've gotten 2 pats on the back from you. And he was like, oh, no, that's not true. Maybe it's not true, but I only remember 2 of them. So there's that. And it's not like a lack. I think it's good because when he does do it, I remember it.
Right.
But with parents, it should be a little bit more. So what could someone say to their parents in order to break that barrier? I mean, you grew up in a household where you didn't get the I love yous from your parents, right, Hea?
See, all 3 of us didn't get it, but
Yeah.
we're intimate. Why?
But
we're
right
intimate with
now-
our kids.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I was really an intimate wife. I'm sure if you speak to my ex-husband, he's probably going to say no.
Okay.
I don't know. I think there's a difference because, I didn't get it from my parents, so I'm giving it to my kids. But was I really an intimate partner? I'm not sure I was because I think that's a different facet, different level.
But my intimacy with my mom, at least, has increased greatly.
That's
Now-
true. You
now
gave your
that you're
mom
a
a hug.
mom?
Because we communicate now.
Okay. Or is it because you're a mom?
And I think it happened after I got married in terms of our dynamic started to shift and we talked more.
Okay.
And she sees me as a friend
Okay.
a lot more.
Dr. D
And-
says you shouldn't be friends with your parents.
But
and
I
parents
think
shouldn't
later
be friends
on
with their
in
kids.
life-
No, but she's not
Yeah.
there. Now she's an adult. She's married. I'm talking about
Like DJ's
I
age?
can't.
So
yeah,
DJ,
exactly.
DJ can't be my best friend.
You need to get a life, man. If DJ is the only friend you have, look, I'll offer you free session, 5 of them for free. So that way you don't bombard DJ with the emotional, neediness.
Oh.
He's not responsible to fulfill you as a friend. Please.
He did tell me to go away the other day. He was like, Daddy, just stop and go away.
Look,
I just want to
Pretty
hang out with
soon
Mommy.
he's going to be coming to Auntie Juliet's office. I mean, that's a big responsibility for my kids to be my friends. I'm sorry. I've told you this before, and I've taught you that in class when you were my student. I said there is a line, but we don't want to get distracted because we're going to get to her
Yeah.
friendship. But now being friends, like if my kids, once they get old, now if you want to be friends with your mom or your dad, if you want, but I don't think there's any hope for your mom.
I really hope she doesn't listen to this.
No, she's a great woman, but I don't know if she's capable of being.
Does anyone have a shovel? Does anyone have a shovel they can give Dr. D? Oh, there's my third pet peeve. Phone's ringing in the middle of a podcast. Wait, but is that like a client?
It's my son.
Oh, okay.
Would you like me to answer it while
No,
we're
no.
on
If
air?
it was a client, I'd say okay, because that's important. Like clients, that would be scary for me if I was
That's
a
the only time it's.
psychologist.
My kid is important too. This intimacy, part of intimacy. So now that you are all grown up and married,
Yes.
your relationship with your mom has, but still, it's not. Let's see, what level of intimacy would it be? Would it be physical? Is it intellectual? Is it experiential, emotional, spiritual?
I would say emotional,
Okay.
definitely. Like we had a fight the other day, and usually when we have a fight in my family, we just don't talk about it for a couple of months and then act as if nothing even happened.
Okay.
But this was the first time we had a fight, and then we talked about it. We worked it out. We talked about how things were miscommunicated. We hugged. We were good to go. And it was so different than how we used to have arguments. And it was nice. I was telling you, are you still Googling?
I was.
I don't know what you're doing.
Got caught again.
I was gonna.
This is
I was gonna Instagram you guys talking.
Ah, that's cute.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
I was gonna like Instagram it.
Oh, okay.
But it seems like Kay is very, very sensitive about you not paying attention to her.
She is.
She is very
He has been on
sensitive.
his phone a lot. What?
Yeah.
No, my phone usage has been down 45% this week. Thank you.
45% of what?
45% of 100%.
So you do feel like you're neglected by him.
Sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, Dr. D, this isn't helping right now.
So you're on your phone most of the time. Like, I didn't even realize you're on your phone. She
Yeah.
picks up very quickly. It means that this is a very sensitive topic for her.
It is?
And you shouldn't be touching your phone if you know
That is
your wife.
true.
Like, I can't find my phone
Look,
half
it's
the
the
time.
weekend. I said,
Yeah, but come on. I'm running a business.
We're not going to have this conversation.
I have to deal with my mother and my two sisters arguing all the time.
look, it has nothing to do with that.
I mean,
it has something to do with, again, you're avoiding intimacy. We're trying to reach to is the level of intimacy the two of you have.
I don't like being on a podcast with you.
I
And
would
you.
just say, be present
Be present.
when we are together. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's not a lot that she's asking
Like,
for.
look, where's my phone?
It's on the table.
Full blown out of sight, out of reach, because I am being present.
She's in the here and now.
I was going to Instagram you guys.
Okay, fine, but he should Instagram us. We
I
like
think
those.
so.
See, I knew Dr. D would
Okay.
like it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I won't-
So,
I won't
yes.
Instagram anything.
fine.
Dr. D's like, no, you should.
Wait, so you.
So let's talk about the different types of intimacy.
Okay.
So there's the intellectual one.
Yes.
And there is the physical one, which we talked. Intellectual is being able to, share intellectual information, books, any information.
What
that
do
would
you
be
think of
intellectual.
couples that get together and say the husband, or, let's talk Kuwait, all right? The husband is very well educated, usually a college degree, sometimes even a master or an engineering degree. And then the wife is high school because there is a lack of education for women, or there was. I mean,
Right.
I don't know how much it still stands true. But what kind of barriers do that set, and how can people overcome it?
The thing is that so what I was saying is that there are different types of intimacy, and it doesn't mean that my partner is going to meet all of them. So, and there's no need for you to meet all of them as long as you're intimately being satisfied somehow. So maybe she's not at his level of intellectual intimacy, which means that he can get that intellectual intimacy with someone else, not romantically. So, people need to start understanding that the person we marry is not going to be able to give me all these 6 types of intimacy. And I think internet says 8 or 9, but only 6 that I liked. The idea is that intellectually, there are lots of people that are not married to people that are in the same educational level. So they're not really meeting their intellectual intimacy, but they might be meeting their physical intimacy. For example, the person that has a high school, she might be more huggy, kissy kind of a person, or cuddles with him and gives him kisses, on the cheek, or she's just present with him physically and they're physically attracted to each other. So I don't really believe that you gotta, and I'm sure it's impossible for me or anyone to be able to get all 6 of them. If they do, so there's the experiential, we talked about activities, emotional, where you're there present, where you can express your emotions with this person and be okay to be vulnerable with them. Spiritual, now, so that we can go back to that couple. Let's say the couple is not the same educational and she's not really huggy, kissy like you and Heya Art. And you only hold hand when you have a big conversation. But you are, you have the same level of spiritual. So now we're not talking about spirituality that it has to be a religion, but it could be that you both have an understanding of some sort of a spiritual belief. Like you have the same, what I've noticed, there are people that I do like couple therapy where, for example, he'll be very spiritual. He's very religious and she's not. So, but also their values don't match. Their morals don't match. Their ethics don't match. So that will create conflict because then this person, let's say that there are their beliefs of nothing, and this person is very extremely religious, it's going to be... And then the last one is sexual, which is the first one that people mention.
Yeah.
So even in the therapy, like when I ask, well, how is your intimacy? As soon as I say that, automatically the guy is talking about, oh, we have sex once a week.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm taking, or it's automatically, or like, oh, our sex life is 0. Like they don't even mention the other type. So when people are married and they kind of look like they're not a match, somehow, I mean, obviously, if they're not a match at all in any of this and they're not meeting each other's intimacy, then, there are going to be consequences, which is affairs and resentment and all that.
Yeah. Would because we always talk about affairs in terms of the physical,
Right.
but we've also heard of like emotional affairs.
That's right.
So within this like scale of intimacy, could an affair kind of be like an intellectual affair
That's
or
right.
an experiential affair? Sharing any of these facets with another individual, is that
Is that an affair? Yes.
yes?
Yeah, because a lot of time, like women are more known to have emotional affairs,
Yes.
while men have more physical affairs, and this is why there's they say that it's more dangerous when a woman has an affair, because if she's having an affair emotionally, that means she's already checked out of her relationship or her marriage because she's already emotionally connected to this other person.
I'm glad you brought that up because I read a statistic a couple years ago, and I just remembered this, that men are more likely to stick within the relationship after having an affair versus a woman who I think is 30% more likely to just get a divorce rather than stick with it because of that, because they go emotional.
No, but
And
I
because
think
she's
that's
emotionally
also,
connected, she's emotionally having an affair, so that means she's already checked out. I say that it's more dangerous for women to have an affair, to be honest, because she's having one emotionally and intellectually. You'll see it. Like, for example, if they're in corporate, like, let's say a corporate world, right? And she's like a CEO, whatever. And then she has an intellectual conversation, or she has an intellectual connection with a colleague. So she's already intellectually emotional. So she's intellectually intimate with that person, where she really enjoys having a conversation with him. So is she having sex with him? No. Is she having an affair? I mean, it depends on, for me, I feel like you're having an intimacy now. Is it an affair, or is it whatever you define?
yeah.
So people do ask all the time, like, do I need to have a physical affair to be having an affair?
Yeah.
And I think that, any type of this intimacy, it could be cheating
Yeah.
because you're already there.
Or at least like a breach within the marriage in itself. Because if you're choosing to use any of these with somebody else, then
Yeah, but to go back to what I said, is it possible that I'm going to find a partner that is going to meet all of this? No. I might meet a partner that I'm physically attracted to, but I'm not intellectually at the same level, and they don't stimulate me. It depends on what type of intimacy
exactly my
matters
problem.
to me.
Exactly my problem with Haya. She's just intellectually, she's not there. not to say she did get the 4.0, and I had a 3.0, but just intellectually she doesn't meet my standards. I'm way too smart for her.
Whatever. I know who's more smarter here.
It's like I'm kind of looking this way, like, all right, I'm scared
says
now.
the person who will never get anything edited ever again.
Yeah, my spelling's horrible. We all know that. Everyone that listens to this show and has seen my Instagram knows my spelling is god awful.
So does a lack of intimacy lead to affairs, or does it lead to anything else?
To go back, is it really an affair?
Yeah.
If I am in a marriage
Yeah.
where I am physically intimate and sexually satisfied, but intellectually I'm not,
Yeah.
and intellectually I enjoy talking to a colleague, am I really having an affair?
I feel like intent is important here.
Okay.
Because if it's a conversation like you would have with a friend, that you just like, I have friends that I like talking to about certain things, and this is our circle, and like it's something that I wouldn't discuss with Mehdi because we have completely different viewpoints on it. It doesn't mean that I'm taking anything away from him, but I'm enjoying this conversation with no intent to kind of hurt you or take something away from
But
it.
wouldn't intent build up over time? I mean, that's how a relationship starts in the beginning. You
but if
like
you're
someone, you
hiding-
work with them, or you have a relationship in a certain place with them or whatever. And then that relationship evolves and it develops, and then it turns into, maybe going out or whatever. So isn't that possible to happen in the workplace or wherever else?
But that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you see it in gyms all the time. Like, gyms, trainers and their clients are notorious.
Are they supposed to date their clients? Like, I'll never date my patients.
No, but so many of them do.
Yeah.
That's so unethical?
It is.
But it happens in my field too, and bothers me and it pisses me off to find out, like, whenever I have a client and she'll say, I was in treatment and they, with another doctor, and maybe they won't mention the name. Sometimes they do. And they're like, and I'm like, oh, why did you stop? And they're like, because he started sending me messages and, and especially like when a woman is vulnerable and she's going through a divorce and this doctor's like, you're beautiful. Don't let him, this is not
That's
type
just
of
a scumbag
treatment.
right there.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
just
but
an
we-
asshole.
But we could talk about that
Yeah.
when we're doing
We're
talking
doing
about
a whole show. We're doing a whole show on that.
Oh my God. But the thing is that is he fulfilling one type of her intimacy? Is that obviously he's sending her messages and like if a trainer is going out with his client, so they're trying to be intimate in a different way. And I think most of the time people don't think it's an affair.
I just want to preface and say that's not in Kuwait. That's globally.
Yeah.
That's a global
true.
statistic.
No, even
Anyone
yes.
can look it up. Almost all trainers in the States, I knew so many of
Yes,
them
true.
there that would pick up, girls from the gym.
No, even for in my field, I'm not talking about Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait, obviously, I've heard these stories, but it's not like I've never heard it. In the U.S., the same thing. Do you know how many doctors date their patients?
Yeah.
And it is what happened to this ethical, rules. Again, we can go back to that point of like, if I am not intellectually stimulated in my relationship, but I'm sexually satisfied, we have great chemistry, but I truly do not feel like a partner is going to be able to satisfy me 100%.
Yeah.
And because, they might not be capable of that. So if I find somebody in the office that I love talking to, I love sharing intellectual stories with, they meet my interest, am I really having an affair? I don't believe that. So I could see what you're saying is the intent.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it puts a lot of responsibility for me to meet a partner and say, look, you got to meet my intimacy intellectually, physically. To me, I want them to be physical, even though I'm not that much, but I hope they teach me. And that I want them to be able to be spiritual, intimate with me, and sexual.
Yeah.
So it depends on what your priority is in a relationship.
And I think it kind of boils down to morals and values as well. Because if you take all of this aside, if you have similar core values, it doesn't have to be everything. Like we don't agree on everything, but just simple things like how you treat people, how you are around, just simple things that you agree on. That's important.
Right. And I also think that you have to be honest with your partner. For example, if I was in a relationship and I feel like the person is, I'm physically attracted to them, sexually satisfied, whatever. But then I'm having an intellectual intimacy with another person in the office. Now, if I'm not telling my partner about it, then there is an intent that, I'm doing something wrong. But if I'm like, messaging someone, I really like the way they talk to me. We have I'm an academic, so it's not that easy to find a partner that's going to be academic with me. And sometimes they don't need to be educated. They're well read.
Yeah.
But let's say they're not. And then I am having that conversation with someone else. If I'm keeping it for my partner, it probably means that this relation means more than that to me. So like you said, intent and not being and lying.
Yes.
So here I am, I'm having this conversation. I'm meeting for coffee so we can talk about these. I love the way this person talks to me.
Yeah.
I love the way we share stories and we like similar poetry. But then if I'm not telling my partner, then something
red
is wrong.
flag.
I knew someone like that a couple of years ago. They had a friend at the office that they used to have dinner with, they used to have coffee with, and they never told their husband.
Right. And then they'll say there was nothing. He's just my colleague. But if they haven't told their husband, I wonder why. And the other thing is you have to understand that one thing can lead to another. So if I'm intimately being satisfied intellectually, it means that it could lead to a physical attraction, right? Because I'm attracted, I want to be with this person. So emotionally, I'm also being geared to liking this person a lot more. I'm sharing a lot of my feelings with this person, which will put me more vulnerable to ultimately have a sexual relationship. So these things are like, but couples, I think what happens, like a lot of couples don't communicate. So they don't have these like one-on-one, please tell me what you think. And so because they don't communicate, then you've got these individual that is married to each other and they are intimately deprived and they don't want to talk about it. So because they don't want to talk about it, it's easier to just find someone to intellectually satisfy me or physically, you know.
Yeah, communication's super important.
It is, I think. And I
Yeah.
think one of the barriers is communication. That's why people are not meeting this intimate level. They'll wait until, you know,
Until they're completely both checked out of the relationship. And then you'll see, like, both of them are off having affairs and then just kind of coming back home and not even acknowledging the person in front of them.
One thing is people are afraid sometimes to communicate, and we do it at work. We're afraid to tell our bosses what's actually on our mind. We're afraid to do that because of the repercussions. When in reality, if we don't say anything and if we don't talk to our partner or our bosses or whoever it may be and tell them what's actually bothering us, it's just going to boil over. And when it boils over, there's no going back. So,
and I think people need to also understand that in order for you to reach a level of intimacy that you're satisfied with. So, I mean, you know, some people they don't care about the intellectual part of it, but they do care. I mean, there are people that says, no, sex is a very important aspect of intimacy for me. And so if you marry someone that is not, and, you know, they have to understand that it takes time to get that person to be in the same level as you. And I think a lot of times people, they need to develop some sort of an awareness about that. They need to know that, you know, for example, like, let's say, you know, from the beginning of the relationship, we were intellectual and we reached that intellectual because we both are on the same level of intelligent and we have certain things in common. Yeah. And we should start there instead of like trying to start to be intimate in the areas we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. The problem is that, you know, if you're a huggy, kissy kind of a person and touchy, then that's where the relationship should start until you develop the other ones. But I think people like right away, they become sexual with each other, or at least sexual thoughts. And then they don't really work on the other part. I think the other part is also important. The more intimately are you with the partner, the more you can stay with each other strong. So because sex is not going to be enough. Especially the older you get, the more your drive is decreased. So we have to find other ways that we are intimate with each other. So if the person you marry is not in your intellectual level and they don't like hugging and kissing and cuddling in front of the TV or the fireplace, whatever, and they're like sex, their sex drive is low, right? And they don't really do anything with you. They don't have the same interest. Right? So that leaves you with what? The emotional and the spiritual.
Yeah.
And obviously they're not going to be that emotional with you because they're going to hide a lot of their feelings because they don't know. So that leaves you spiritual.
Yeah.
So is that enough to keep you together? No. So I'm not saying that, you know, you can only have one or two.
Yeah.
I want to make sure people understand you should have as many as you can.
Yeah.
But having one is not going to be enough because there are some mandatory ones.
Yeah.
I think. So you'll see here, for example, you'll see them spiritually, they're on the same level. All right, they both pray, they both were, you know, have a strong faith, but then they don't have anything else in common.
Yeah.
You know, they don't like the same level of sex, no physical, no emotional. Then that's why the affairs, you know, then the person says to me, well, you know, she's a really great woman, you know, and she's a great mom, right? And I know she has morals and values and this and that, but she just, you know, she doesn't have sex. We don't have sex. We don't have this. And that's why he's having an affair to satisfy the other part. Yeah. So now to satisfy my intellectual part is a little bit not dangerous, but to not be sexually satisfied with my partner and then I have to go out of the relationship to get that level, then that's to me, that's more dangerous.
Yeah.
so tell your partner.
So tell your partner that you need all this.
Yeah.
But then you can't be shy about it either. I think one of the things that, you know, is a barrier to reaching this.
That's a really good point about being
shyness.
shy. Yeah, that's a really good point, especially in our culture.
Yes.
I'm so glad you said that because it's so true, especially with females. And I'm not a female, I'm a male.
No, but remember that documentary we were watching where they were talking about sex in different parts of the world. And then they were talking about
Cristiano Ampor.
Yeah, and
it was
then
on Netflix. Really good doc. You should see
Okay.
that. You should see that documentary.
And they were talking about it in the Middle East, and there was this one woman.
She's like, where do you guys find time to watch this stuff?
He always says you should watch this. I'm like, what the hell? I don't have time, man.
And I wake
I'm
up.
trying to save the world. Are you watching Netflix?
Hey, I am too, all right?
But in this one segment, there was a woman who was terrified to get married. And every time they would set her up with somebody, she didn't want to because she was terrified of losing her virginity because of the way that the culture describes it. And it goes to show that the conversation, there is no conversation. So for a woman to go up to her husband and say, these are my needs, that is very difficult if you haven't been inundated with this already.
And that's what makes even here, I've noticed that relationships that are the strongest here are the ones that are very open with each other. Like, it surprises me where people have been married for a long time. And then when you say to her that, it's either that they've never had a conversation about are they sexually satisfied. They don't talk about the things that they like about things. She finds it, or they won't have conversations about sex or even have sex in the light, for example. So the idea is that the shyness or this idea that sex is tabooed.
Yeah.
So if you don't really talk about, and even like intimate, like for example, forget about sex. I've even had people say, well, no, I would love for him to just hug me.
Yeah.
Sex is not that important. And sex is not that important. And it's not all about sex. But if you can, and I've also seen couples where they don't really have a good sex drive or he has an issue or a medical problem, but they're very happy with each other because he satisfies her physically.
Yeah.
So, but then if you like to hug and kiss and just watch TV or cuddle, like she wants this, but then she's too shy to ask him for it. So therefore her needs go on, unsatisfied.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that's what she wants, and he thinks it's all about sex. And this lack of communication because she's shy, he's shy.
Yeah.
And so they're not open with each other. It's so interesting how you see people, like at the beginning of the marriage, I could see, especially in our part of the world, there's a lot of them are, this is a first experience for them. But then to be married 10 years and not be able to
have that conversation.
go to the bathroom,
yeah,
with the person in the room. Yeah, that's to me, I feel like, wow. So that means that they haven't done a lot of, the more you're experiential with each other, you do activities, you have these conversations like you guys were having about, tell me what's going on, what's wrong. Like being able to be aware. See, people are not aware, so they'll wait a long time. And before you know it, this person's already texting, WhatsApping another person. They're Instagramming another person.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
I didn't even know Instagramming another person existed.
I had someone slide into my DMs.
I found out Tinder is like really popular now.
Yeah.
It is?
It's been
Yeah.
for a
Can I meet
while.
someone through Tinder?
You can definitely meet someone through Tinder.
No, wait.
No, seriously, Quady's use Snapchat.
Yeah, I know. I've
No,
heard
but
all the
Tinder, I've
Snapchat
also
stories.
seen Kuwaitis use Tinder.
Really?
But somebody told me that it's, the quality is not that much.
Also, it's just for hookups.
Yeah, I believe it.
Huh?
Snapchat and Tinder, they're both for hookups. They're not for actual
Relationships.
I've met people that have gotten into relationships.
Bill
Like,
Quaid?
yes.
On Instagram?
Yes.
Oh, are you talking
Yeah,
about?
you know exactly who
On
I'm talking
Instagram,
about.
you mean?
No,
No,
on Tinder.
Oh, okay.
And it was a Kuwaiti
Now in the
female
US?
and a British dude.
Oh, but in the U.S., I know
Yeah.
a couple of people have met up for a permanent thing. But
But I'm talking about
But here, I don't know.
No, it's
actually, I'm totally against signing up for any of these. I figured, if whoever it is going to meet me or forget it.
But what if? All right, what if? And let's be.
I'm hoping
hypothetical.
my friends will hook me up.
what if? All right, there was an algorithm that someone worked out. Here I go with AI again. That someone worked out so that they could actually pinpoint the perfect match for you within a 95%
what's
approval
the fun
rating.
of that?
Yeah.
You want to meet someone. You want to have that. Ooh, does he like me? I don't know. Let
No.
me. Like the
Why do I
butterflies
need a
and
95%?
the-
I don't need guarantee.
There's absolutely no fun in having that happen.
I don't want guarantee.
No.
It's nice to just meet and see if, does he like me, not like me. I'm like, hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you need things guaranteed? Tell us more about that, Maddie.
Because you want to go through the experience.
No, Maddie doesn't
Of
want
the
any
whole-
I don't want to go
experience.
through that
He
crap.
just
But
wants
it's just like
things-
how when we work out, by the way, like I enjoy the process and he just wants the PRs.
the resolution.
Just saying.
I just want the what? I just want the what?
You just want the PRs.
The PRs? Yeah, I want to
And
I want to break my totals every single time. Because if you're not
Why are
always...
you so competitive, Mahdi? It's over. It's finished. Khalas. You don't need to be competitive. This is something you have to deal with yourself.
What, not being competitive?
Yeah, you're competing against yourself. Do you know competition is all about us?
Yeah,
more
there's
than
nothing
other
wrong
people?
with competing against yourself.
Yeah, it is. If that's the only thing that that's important to you, that's your priority.
No, it's not. It's
You're not
definitely
enjoying
my
the
priority.
process.
I do enjoy the
The
process.
process
No, you
is the
don't.
best part.
It
Dude,
is.
I was dancing in the middle of the line.
Because you broke another record of some sort.
We were getting ready to go out on the floor, because they have heat.
Yeah, because
and
you're
I was sitting
thinking,
there
I'm going to
dancing.
compete. I'm going to do very well.
No, I was having fun. I was having a blast.
He's changed his mindset the last
Thank God my
2
therapy
weeks.
is working.
But he went into that competition with such a different mindset, and he saw how it worked for him.
Yeah, I was loose, and
And
you
so
do
now
better when you're loose.
And you've carried that over.
Yeah,
the
I'm
past
having
couple
I'm
weeks,
having
so
a lot
it's
of
been
fun.
really good.
I mean, I literally had one of the judges say, "Are you going to get back up there? The clock's running." And I was like, "Nah, it's cool. I don't like doing that crap anyways." I was having a blast.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it.
Well, that's nice.
Everybody's noticed the change, by the way.
Oh, really?
Everyone's
See?
like, "Oh my God, Maddie's so happy right now. He's having a good time. He's a blast to be around."
Because I set the standards high for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how much work I've put in. And when you put a lot of work into something and you're afraid of not living up to the hype that you created in your own mind, it's earth-shattering sometimes, especially when you're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to ride the devil's creation, the assault bike, and there's no results afterwards. But once you let go of that, or once I let go of that, and I was like, look, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I had fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm still enjoying it.
Well, that's good. So he's not as competitive as
No,
before?
I'm hungry for more.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but
I'm hungry for more. I want
but
to
you're
beat.
different. But
You're different. You're thinking
yeah.
about it differently.
I'm a little more cocky right now.
Okay.
Like I'm more confident in my abilities versus 5 weeks ago.
Whatever it is, keep it up.
All right,
We all
cool.
like it.
All right, I'm glad you
You're a
like
pleasure
it.
to be
So I got
around.
questions for you, Dr. D. Do you want them now or at the end?
Yalla now.
I got some random questions.
Random questions from who?
Oh my God. Hay is reading this. This is a lot of reading right here.
Why? What's happening?
What's happening?
Whoa, okay. All right.
Do you want me to read it?
I told a bunch of listeners that we were recording tonight.
Okay.
And, and they're shooting. Do you want me to start with the first? There's a decent amount.
There's a decent amount of questions?
Yes. Do you want the first one?
Yeah.
Let's
I don't know
kind of
if
limit it to like 2 minutes a question.
Yeah.
When you think you're doing something right by someone, but it's just not good enough.
What's that mean?
Like, I think I get what they're saying. Like, if you always think you're doing something right, but it's not good enough for the person
Oh,
you're
so you're
with,
not meeting the
you're
other
not
person's
meeting their
standard.
expectations. Yeah.
Right. So you always feel disappointed and rejected because you're never good enough, which is going to hurt your self-esteem, which hurts your intimacy.
All right, good. You answered the second part because it's how do you make your low self-esteem after so many years high again?
Well, the thing is that you need to understand why your self-esteem is low. So the idea is that most of the time people are depending on their partner. I mean, we're talking about partners making our self-esteem low. And so I think the idea is that we need to stop trying to put the responsibility on our partner to make us feel better. And so if you can take some responsibility that it's my self-esteem, I need to do something about it, then we be more in control and we can change it. And, and I also have to evaluate why my self-esteem, like before for me, for example, like I was overweight and I was in a relationship that I felt like I was never good enough. And maybe it's because now I realize it was really his issues, not mine. But because he was projecting all that, on me, I felt like I wasn't good enough. Then I thought I lost weight, and I think I lost weight for him at first, and I wanted to do all these things. And then I realized this doesn't work because I was trying to do this and do this and do that. And it's still like, well, you didn't do this. Oh, well, and maybe he didn't realize that he was doing that to me, but I never have felt like I was good enough. And then one day I realized, like, that's not going to work. When I started to shift and started to do that, I continued losing weight because I enjoyed it. And I continued to work out. But then my thoughts shifted. Now I was starting to do all of that, not because I was doing it so I can get some intimacy, because he wasn't physical and he wasn't sexual and it wasn't nothing. He was just ignoring me. So I felt like now it didn't matter. It wasn't about what I was going to get out of him. It was more about me. And, actually they say that, the more you're intimately deprived, the more you take care of yourself because you're trying to get other people's attention.
Yeah.
So you'll spend a lot more time doing your physical and working on yourself.
Okay. You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Because you already answered the second question, which
good.
was about self-esteem. Why is it so hard to make friends when the person is such an outgoing people person? I think they're asking why is it so hard to make friends, maybe in an intimate way, or
Also, this person is very social,
yeah,
but they are not able to find a partner.
or finding it hard to develop relationships. It could be
But they-
partner or friendship, either.
And
or.
I mean, there's a difference between I'm social and being intimate with someone, like not partner, also as friends, right?
It says friends. It says hard to make friends. Yeah.
But
So I
Isn't
mean, there's two different things, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like I'm very social. Like I know a lot of people that are social, but they're afraid of intimacy and friendship. They don't like getting close to anyone. They're worried about being hurt and rejected. Remember, I mean, intimacy, you said it earlier, it's like intimacy is not just with a partner. It could be with my friends and my family and my parents or whatever. And, you know, the thing is, there are people that have fear of intimacy in any of those because they don't like to be rejected.
Ooh, that's a good point. Because some people might just think of, oh my God, I just had like an epiphany moment. I
Wow.
should be a psychologist.
I think
dude.
you should.
I honestly
you should pay
should.
me for giving you the.
I think you should pay me for deciphering all of this. But for some people that do value intimacy as only seeing it as loving relationships,
Yeah.
they don't understand the value of intimacy within a friendship or intimacy within another facet of life.
That's right.
Oh my God, I'm a genius.
Right.
But that's what they say, that when you're looking at your mental health, your social circle is so important to that. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not your parents or whatever, your friend circle is super important. And a lot of people, especially in the world of Instagram and social media, they're disconnected from their friend group. And that's really bad for their mental
true.
health.
And I think it's true, you know. I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people do think that, you know, whenever I say intimacy or I say, they automatically like, no, I don't have a partner. Like it's like you're intimate with your girlfriend and your, you know, your male friends. And
Yeah.
you know, the idea is that people need to realize that. And, you know, just because I'm not in a relationship, but I'm intimately very happy. I have great friends and I socialize a lot. And but for those there are also individuals that are very social, but they don't have anyone close.
Yeah.
Fear of intimacy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Okay.
making friends and rejection, fear of rejection too.
Yep.
Now, here's the big question. This is a heavy one. How do you love yourself again after hating yourself so much? And I'm guessing finding intimacy within yourself.
Oh, to be satisfied with yourself.
Yeah, that's a big one.
How do you love yourself after hating yourself for so long?
Yeah.
It's a process.
You have to look inside yourself, though, don't
I wonder
you?
why they hated themselves. It's very important that we know why we hated
Well,
ourselves.
I don't.
Again,
they
take
all
it-
want to be anonymous. So
Yeah, of course. No, we don't want them to know. But what I'm saying is that for that individual, I think what they need to understand is why I hated myself. And it might be because of childhood or abuse or, you know. And then the idea is that loving yourself, that is a transition. That's great. So they've already done half of the work. If I hated myself and now I'm starting to love myself,
self-actualization.
that means, or that they've recognized that whatever it is that they were hating themselves, it wasn't their fault. And see, that's another thing people need to understand. That a lot of times when we have negative feelings about ourselves, they need to understand that that is something that was there and that it wasn't, you know, it wasn't their fault that they felt this way about themselves. And then now they have the power to make change. You know, it's not easy. Most of the time people ask you this, how do I love myself? How do I it's a process.
Yeah.
You know, the more you're aware and have insight, the better you are becoming at understanding yourself.
Yeah.
I can give you tools. I can say, do things that make you feel successful. Accomplishment is great. Goals are great. Anything that you can set to see yourself as someone that is producing, it will make you feel better about yourself.
Okay. This one's more of a general question, I think. It's a little bit on the general side. You want to take this one?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you can read this. It's a long one.
Whoa.
Don't read any names, please.
Just this one right here.
Yeah, I think it's all one long question.
Okay, one of the issues I have is that I always try to fix things around me. I'm highly observant of other people's pain, and I always want to help others to solve their problems, and it's often on my expense. I do feel good afterwards, but I end up spending a lot of time and effort on others, which is also why I always tell myself that sometimes I don't have time for myself. I'm not sure if it's simply avoiding my own problems or that I feel it's selfish to put my interests ahead of others, especially when I know that they won't be able to solve their issues as quickly or with less damage without my help. Even with the weight thing, sometimes I don't go to the gym or ignore diet because a friend is going through something. Sometimes it feels because I'm avoiding the real problem that I actually have to face. And sometimes I feel that it's not avoiding, but it's simply that it would be selfish not to focus on others. How can I differentiate those two?
It's simple. The simple thing is people need to understand that it's okay to be selfish. And what this person is saying is that, I don't know when I'm going to be selfish and when I have to take care of other people. And I think we need to really understand that if you are going to rescue people all the time, that we're not giving them the ability and the responsibility to get themselves out of whatever it is. There's a difference between my friend calling me and saying, Juliet, I have a car problem. And I was just on the way to the gym. My friend calls and says, my car's not working. My kid is crying in the car. Then, of course, I'm going to skip gym to go there because that's an immediate emergency. But, I'm not going to skip gym because I need to go and be with a friend that has had an issue for a while, and they don't need to just talk because I can arrange that around my time. I really feel like sometimes people have really misunderstood. We either get these people that are very selfish and very self-centered and have no thought or feelings toward other people, or you get these other people like this one who doesn't want to be selfish and is very, very giving, but then she's burned out at her own expense.
But do you think it is displacement or avoidance? I used to do that where
Yes.
I would just go help all of my friends
That's
and
right.
immerse myself in fixing their problems.
That's right. So I
so
can
that
avoid myself.
Yeah.
That's true. Very true. And it's a great point. And I think that's what we do. I mean, that's what happens with people that work a lot and exercise a lot. It's like every time we engage in a lot of extreme things, if caretaking a lot, is because you're probably avoiding something within yourself.
Yeah.
And I would say to this person, what are you running away from? What are you escaping? What's so bad about being with yourself? And what's so bad about being selfish? There is healthy selfishness.
Yeah.
Why can't people engage in that?
And
you know why? It's because they are trying to avoid.
Yeah.
You're right.
And one of my friends posted something earlier. She was like, we're glorifying the word busy because
are.
everyone's doing this, and that, but you never take any time to just sit down in quiet and reflect.
Because people don't know how to be with themselves.
Yes.
They're too, because then being by myself and within myself, I have to really reflect. And I might not like a lot of things I'm going to know about myself. So why I want to know that? I might as well just solve everybody else's problem. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is,
Any other questions?
No.
No.
Sorry, I was thinking about my time with myself and my self-reflection.
You do a lot. You have a lot of Instagram time and social media time, and you were down 45%, like out of 100. I was just thinking about that.
100%. I was down 45%.
But what was that 100%?
I mean, because you're
no, it was-
traveling
no, it
most
was-
of the
how many
time.
hours was that a day?
All right, it was like, no, it's been
No,
steadily
I
coming down. Like every week I've been trying to reduce it by 3
Are
hours.
you trying to say that you are not spending time with yourself? You're trying to avoid by being on Instagram or on social media.
No,
And you're
not
trying to
really.
avoid your intimacy with Haya by being on social media.
She avoids intimacy with me.
Because you're never present.
So how is she going to be intimate with herself? Look, we said intellectual, physical, experiential. You only met experiential. Intellectual, you said no. Physical,
Yeah, she doesn't meet my standards.
physical, she is starting to hug you and hold your hand.
There's a problem with that. Okay.
There's a problem because you communicated that you needed something, and now
Yeah,
I
I need
am.
hugs, dude.
But now I'm consciously
No, that's true.
trying to meet
And I
your
appreciate
needs
that.
because you explained it to me.
I appreciate that.
I
So
think that's
he
progress.
told you that he needs more hugs and kisses?
He says yeah, and so by you kind of making fun of the fact that I only hold it once or twice,
I'm sorry. I was making fun. I was joking around.
but
yeah, that's not
it's-
nice. And then now, this is the reason why she's not physically intimate with you.
Thanks, Dr. D.
No, but it's not going to how is this inciting me to do it more.
Okay.
If now you're like, oh, it's just not enough.
You need a pat on the back.
See, what you're doing is that you're saying that instead of looking at the glass half full, you're saying it's glass half empty. So you're not motivating her. And it's the same issues that I said earlier, like, and the same question, like, you know, you do so many things and this person is still not happy. They're going to stop. You know what's going to happen is that they
I turn
feel
into my
rejected.
mother.
You turn out, exactly. She's going to feel rejected, hurt, frustrated, angry, and she's not going to deal with it, you know, healthy.
Do you feel all that?
Her confidence is down. There's no
See how my tone changed?
avoid risk. You know, she's going to start avoiding responsibility. She's going to look into affairs
Oh boy.
outside.
Oh boy.
She's going to feel lonely.
Where's your phone at? Let me check your phone. Do you have your Tinder account set up?
Listen, if I had an affair, I'd actually have my phone on me. I like never have it on me.
I know,
most
it's
of the
so
time.
true.
Like,
I told you
And
today.
it's always somewhere. And
like the number one thing I always say at home is, "Where's my phone?"
yeah,
Like I
see?
never know where.
So you
it
don't have to
is.
worry about it. But no, you do have to worry because she might have another phone.
Ooh, I didn't think of that one.
This is just a cover.
Dr.
I didn't,
Deesh.
I didn't think of that one. I
Don't
did
blow my
not.
cover.
I did not think of that one.
Don't blow
I
my
mean, like some people, like, can you imagine? Some people like go to the bathroom, they take their phone, like, and you know, I had this couple, and she's like, I don't know if he's cheating, but why do you have to have your phone all the time on you? And he's got like 10 passwords on it. And
Oh,
every time he
wow.
goes to the bathroom, takes it, and then he says, "I'm not cheating. I'm not cheating." Well, I mean, when you
Wow.
do these kind of suspicious things, of course, this person's going to think that, you know, and you're avoiding, you haven't been around, you know, you have no responsibility. You know, whenever you have these like kind of signs, in order for your partner to feel safe with you, is that when you share with the person, say, "Look, I need you to be more intimate. I need more sex. I need you to have more physical activity with me. We need to have fun together." And, you know, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't have time for you." They have time for somebody else.
But if they're trying to put the effort in, you show that
That's
you
right.
appreciate it, even if it's not at the level that you want it to, because effort is being made.
That's right. So you need to appreciate, or she's not going to do nothing.
I'm so getting yelled at after this episode.
That's right.
We're communicating.
She doesn't yell. She communicates. She's bringing you into awareness.
I'm the one married
she's-
to the power lifter. Okay, she yells. You didn't see her. She grunts too.
Okay, when I lift,
She does like scary grunts.
when I lift,
Lift. No, when she's
you
like,
love it.
I do.
No,
I
people
get
are
pumped
referring to it as the growl.
up. Yeah.
she's, yes. So now you're going to have to work on your intimacy.
Yeah, well, I'll get around to it.
Talk a little more.
Maybe.
Become acknowledgeable. Stop looking at your phone. Put it away when you walk into the house. And make Haya feel that she is number one priority, even before DJ.
Okay. I had to think
You
about
knew
that
her.
one for a
You
second.
knew her first. This is what I don't understand is that, you know, whenever you say that, they're like, "No, my kids have to come number one." My kids don't come number one. My partner has to be number one, and then my kids, because, you know, the idea is that I need to feel that I'm a priority in this person's life. And when I feel like I'm not a priority, and, you know, a piece of furniture and me are all the same, then something is wrong, you know? When the person comes, and this is what happens with people that have kids, to be honest, especially in this part of the world.
it's true.
As soon as she has kids, her all priority is the kids,
Yeah.
and then he feels left out. So I
Yeah.
think we need
This
to.
is the other way around.
But in general, just so people don't get the wrong idea, me and Hay actually I think we have a very healthy relationship. I think we're very healthy.
We communicate.
Yeah.
Even when things get really, really, really bad,
We
will
still-
sit there,
yeah.
whether we're fighting it out or talking it out. It eventually gets
It gets resolved.
communicated.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot healthier than not talking and living a facade with both partners. Just
And if you lie, you always get caught.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like you're better off telling the truth than lying about something. 'Cause
yeah,
you-
our honesty is really good as well.
yeah.
Honesty and communication. You can't go wrong if you have these two things in your relationship.
No.
That is true. And I think that is a wrap.
That is
Yeah.
a wrap.
So leave us a rating and review, and you might win a T-shirt made of unicorn gold with sparkling silver, mended on Mount Everest itself by 50 monks,
I'm really hungry.
and a
Can we stop
partridge in a
this
pear
now?
tree. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You can also find us on Instagram at The Project Kuwait. Thank you, and join us next time.